Today, we're taking a deep and detailed look at the RTX 5060 running Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on PC. This is not a short test and not a surface-level overview. The purpose of this video is to understand how the game behaves across every major graphics preset, and more importantly, how those presets actually change the real gameplay experience. At very low settings, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is running in its most reduced visual form. This preset removes almost all fine environmental detail from the game. Building textures are heavily simplified. Surface materials lose variation, and many objects appear flat and uniform. Roads look smooth with very little texture detail. Walls lack depth, and materials like metal, concrete, and glass no longer react naturally to light. Shadows at this preset are extremely limited. In many areas, shadows are either very soft or missing entirely. This causes objects to feel disconnected from the environment, as if they're placed on top of the world rather than existing within it. Lighting is purely functional. Street lights, interior lights, and sunlight exist only to ensure visibility, not to create atmosphere or realism. There's almost no sense of light bounce, and reflections are practically non-existent. Weather effects are also heavily downgraded. Rain looks basic and flat, fog lacks depth, and haze effects feel artificial. Nighttime scenes are especially weak at very low. The city skyline feels empty, lighting lacks contrast, and New York no longer feels like a living, breathing city. Distant objects suffer the most at this preset. Buildings and landmarks lose detail very quickly as you move away from them, making the world feel smaller and less impressive. The sense of scale that normally defines Spider-Man games is largely gone here. However, gameplay clarity is where very low settings shine. Swinging through the city feels extremely responsive. Camera movement is sharp, predictable, and easy to control. Animations are clean and easy to read because there's almost no visual noise on screen. Nothing distracts the player during fast movement. Combat becomes very easy to follow. Enemy attack animations stand out clearly. Timing feels easier to judge, and fast encounters are much easier to track. Parry windows and dodge cues are visually obvious because there are no heavy effects or dramatic lighting transitions competing for attention. Very low settings are clearly designed for clarity and responsiveness. They completely sacrifice atmosphere, cinematic presentation, and environmental detail, but they deliver a clean and distraction-free gameplay experience. This preset is only recommended for players who value pure readability above everything else. Low settings represent the first meaningful step toward a more complete visual experience. While still far from cinematic, this preset restores enough detail to make the city feel functional rather than unfinished. Textures regain some definition. Buildings start showing surface detail again, and materials look slightly more natural compared to very low. Roads show light texture variation, walls gain subtle depth, and environmental objects begin to feel more grounded. Shadows return with basic depth, helping objects sit more naturally in the world. While shadows are still simple, their presence alone adds a noticeable improvement in spatial awareness. Lighting improves slightly at this preset. It is still basic, but it feels less washed out. Street lights add some atmosphere during nighttime scenes, and interior lighting looks more believable. Reflections begin to appear faintly on glass surfaces and polished materials, although they remain limited and not fully accurate. The city starts to feel more alive at low settings. Environments no longer feel empty, and there is a stronger sense of space and structure. Swinging to the city remains smooth and responsive, but now the visuals support the movement instead of feeling disconnected from it. Combat visuals also improve noticeably. Hit effects are clearer. Enemy animations blend better with the environment, and encounters feel more visually grounded. There is still a strong emphasis on clarity, but with enough detail to make combat visually satisfying. Low settings are a practical option. They don't push visual quality aggressively, but they offer a clear improvement over very low while maintaining a stable and consistent experience. This preset is ideal for players who want smooth gameplay with acceptable visuals and minimal distraction. Medium settings are where Marvel Spider-Man 2 truly begins to feel like a modern PC game. At this preset, the visual presentation becomes much more balanced and immersive. Textures are clearly defined across the city. Buildings show proper material detail. Roads display visible surface variation, and environmental objects look far more refined. Character models benefit significantly at medium. Spider-Man suit details become more noticeable, including fabric patterns, color separation, and material shading. Facial details during close-up scenes look sharper and more natural. NPCs also look more detailed and better integrated into the environment. Lighting at medium is a major upgrade. Sunlight looks warmer and more realistic during daytime, while nighttime lighting feels balanced and atmospheric. Shadows add meaningful depth to streets, buildings, and interiors, giving the city a strong sense of dimension. Reflections on windows, puddles, and wet surfaces become more accurate, greatly improving immersion during traversal. The world feels alive with this preset. Traffic, pedestrians, and environmental elements blend naturally into the environment. The city feels busy and believable without becoming visually overwhelming. Distant landmarks retain more detail, helping maintain a strong sense of scale. Combat benefits greatly at medium settings. Visual effects have more weight, lighting reacts better to movement, and animations feel smoother and more impactful. Particle effects enhance fights without cluttering the screen. Combat remains readable while feeling visually satisfying. Medium settings offer one of the best overall balances between visual quality and gameplay clarity. For many players, this preset represents the ideal experience, combining immersion, detail, and consistency. High settings push Marvel Spider-Man 2 into a much more visually impressive category. At this level, the game begins to prioritize presentation more heavily. Textures are sharper across the board, lighting becomes richer, and shadows behave more dynamically. Buildings, streets, and interiors show a higher level of detail, making the city feel dense and realistic. Materials respond more naturally to light, and environmental surfaces appear more textured and refined. The overall visual fidelity is significantly higher than medium. Nighttime scenes are a major highlight at high settings. Neon signs glow vividly, reflections on buildings are clearer and more accurate, and the skyline looks dramatic and cinematic. Swinging through the city at night feels visually striking, with lighting and reflections enhancing every movement. Combat visuals are also enhanced at this preset. Particle effects are stronger, lighting reacts more aggressively to action, and large encounters feel more intense. Boss fights and scripted sequences stand out because the environment reacts more clearly to movement, attacks, and special abilities. High settings are ideal for players who want strong visual quality without fully maxing out the game. This preset delivers atmosphere, detail, and cinematic flair, while remaining usable for extended gameplay sessions. Very high settings deliver the most visually detailed version of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 without ray tracing. This preset pushes visual fidelity to its limit. Textures reach their highest quality, lighting is more advanced, and reflections are present across nearly all reflective surfaces. Materials look rich and detailed. Surfaces react naturally to light, and environmental objects display maximum detail. The city feels dense, layered, and visually complex. Every street, building, and interior space appears polished and carefully crafted. Nighttime scenes are especially impressive at very high. Lighting contrast is strong, reflections are realistic, and the overall presentation feels cinematic. Swinging through the city feels like watching a high-quality action film, with consistent lighting and sharp visuals from every angle. Combat visuals are intense at this preset. Effects are rich, lighting reacts strongly to movement, and environmental reactions add weight to every encounter. Large battles and boss fights feel visually dramatic and impactful. Very high settings focus heavily on presentation and immersion. This preset is best suited for players who want the game to look as impressive as possible and are willing to prioritize visual quality over everything else. That was a complete RTX 5060 performance and experience test on Marvel Spider-Man 2 running on PC. If this deep breakdown helped you understand the game better, make sure to like the video. For more honest GPU testing, long-form graphics analysis, and real gameplay comparisons, subscribe to Respawn Sam. Let me know in the comments which game or graphics card you want tested next. That was a complete RTX 5060 performance and experience test on Marvel Spider-Man 2 running on PC. If this deep breakdown helped you understand the game better, make sure to like the video. For more honest GPU testing, long-form graphics analysis, and real gameplay comparisons, subscribe to Respawn Sam. Let me know in the comments which game or graphics card you want tested next.